I often ask this question at my events. If you had 3 hours left to live, what would you do? And it's interesting to hear the answers. Almost always, people are very, very clear what they would do if they had 3 hours to live. The first thing is they're not going to sit here listening to me continue to talk. They would all leave. No one has ever raised their hand, no matter where I was speaking, in which country around the world, and said, no, I'll spend the remaining 3 hours listening to you talk. Nope. Everyone said they were going to get up and leave. And I don't think most of them would even say bye to me. They'd be out the door. And I usually would pick one or two people from the audience and I would ask them, like, Joe, what would you do if you had 3 hours to live? The common answer for people that have families, they would say, well, Joe would say, I'd go pick up my wife from work, then grab my kids from school and go home and spend time with them. Okay. Then I would ask Joe, if you were passing by your favorite store that had a big red sign outside that said 90% off, everything must go, would you swing by and pick up something from your favorite store? Joe would go at 3 hours to live? Absolutely not. Then I asked Joe, would you swing by Starbucks to pick up one last cinnamon almond milk latte and stand in line for about 20 minutes? He goes, absolutely not going to do that. I'll skip the latte. What if someone you didn't like was calling you? Would you pick up the phone and talk to them? The answer says, well, nope, wouldn't do that. So when I tell Joe that he has 3 hours to live, all of a sudden he becomes really, really clear who and what is important in his life. When I shrink his time, his clarity of focus increases exponentially. If I said to Joe, you have 50 years to live, would you stay for the rest of my workshop? The answer always is yes. I've never had anyone anywhere in the world I've spoken to when I've asked them, if you had 50 years to live, would you leave this workshop? No one's put up their hand. Every single one of them would stay. As I reduced the time and I said, yeah, what about if you had 10 years to live, would you leave? Few hands go up. What if you had 1 year to live? Would you leave? More hands go up. And by the time I get down to 3 hours, the room is empty. Everyone's gone. So what's it saying? When you shrink time, you increase the clarity. When you tell someone they only have a few hours to live, what it does is it pushes to the surface who and what is important in their life. When you tell someone they only have this much time to live, like 3 hours to live, it brings to the surface of their mind who is important in their life, what is important in their life. It also brings to the forefront of their mind who is not important in their life and what is not important in their life. What that does is all of a sudden it tells you very, very clearly what are the priorities in your life. How do you get orange juice? Very easy. Squeeze the orange. How do you figure out your priorities in life? You squeeze time. You squeeze time, your priorities come to the surface. And once your priorities come to the surface, now you know what you should be focusing on. All of a sudden, you become really clear who and what's important in your life. Take those priorities that have come to your surface of your mind, or the forefront of your mind, take those priorities and insert it into your existing life. Start incorporating them into your daily routines, making them a greater part of your life. Because if you were faced with death, that's what you would focus on. So why wait till death is knocking on your door before you start focusing on those things? Start focusing on them now. Adjust your life to your priorities.